We're going to get started. I know it's a few minutes early, but CB2 I already know is not coming because they have their children's holiday party today. So if we could all just stand and face the flag and pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'm going to officially call the meeting to order. Attendance, like I noted previously, CB2 is not here because they do have their children's Christmas party, so they're excused. If everybody could take a quick look at the minutes in your packet, and if I could entertain a motion to approve. Okay, Jerry first. Do I have a second from anybody? Nick, second. Okay, so we're just going to get right into it because we had some issue with work that was being done outside, so we have no water in the building. So I'm going to try and, so we could just go. So we do have a presentation from the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation regarding city planning application to acquire some private property and some map street beds. So we have Garrett here from Parks. So, and then he's going to give the presentation. Then afterwards, in your packet, we are going to take a vote on a resolution. Garrett, the floor is yours.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me here today. As Marie said, I'm Garrett Berger from the New York City Parks Department. I'm here with Colleen Williamson, also from the New York City Parks Department. Parks is a co-applicant on this application with DCAS, and then we're also here with Sam Hurst from the Mayor's Office, Nicole Campo, and Alina Fursta from the Staten Island City Planning Office. And I'm presenting on the South Shore Staten Island Coastal Storm Risk Management Project, Phase 1, and specifically the site selection and acquisition ULIP for this project. It's also commonly known as the Staten Island Levee. The title may be a bit confusing because the Staten Island Levee is on the East Shore. The reason why the official title is South Shore is because it's part of a larger Army Corps study that extends all the way from Fort Wadsworth to Tottenville, 13.1 miles. And the Army Corps realized that the area most susceptible to storm damage was this first piece of the East Shore that runs from Fort Wadsworth to Great Kills Park, and that's the section we're going to be talking about tonight. So first I'll give some background on the Army Corps project and the city's role in the project. Then I'll move on to specifics of the acquisition and site selection ULIP, the properties that we're going to be acquiring. We'll discuss the details of those. Then the city's next steps, and the open floor to questions and comments. So this is, I don't know if I should zoom out. I'll just explain to you what some of the different colors mean. So this is the project area. As I said, it runs from Fort Wadsworth to Great Kills Park. The line in red here, that's the proposed levee footprint. And then you see the darker purple and lighter purple, those are the drainage areas, the interior drainage areas as part of the project. And then the green is the wetlands area, wetlands enhancement and restoration, and then there's a couple little yellow pieces, and those are road raisings, and that's primarily either for access to the levee or to prevent spillover between interior drainage areas. You'll also see that the majority of the project is in CB3 area or in the joint interest area, and also community board too. So the city has three main responsibilities in the Army Corps project. The first is the local cost share. The legal agreements for the actual construction implementation of the project have not yet been signed between the city and its state and federal sponsors. So that's something that's currently being coordinated. But based on past experience, it's estimated the city will be responsible for about 10% of the total project cost. And the total project cost is approximately $600 billion. Our second responsibility as a city is to coordinate on design and implementation with the Army Corps, and that includes the New York City Park Shoreline Parks Plan, which is to address the impacts of the parkland and to reconstruct impacted parkland. The third one that we're going to be focusing on tonight is the acquisition and preparation of the real estate. That's what the ULIP covers. And then the At Community Board 3, another issue that had come up was maintenance and operations. So this is anticipated that that will be another responsibility of the city. As I said, the agreement has not yet been signed, but when they are signed, we expect that the city will be responsible for taking on long-term maintenance and operation of the levee, and that will be subject to a maintenance and operation manual that will be developed as design progresses. So in total, there are 711 parcels that are part of the Army Corps project area. They include properties that are already city-owned, federal and state-owned parcels, properties that have been acquired through the New York Rising buyout area program, and then DEP's Blue Belt or soon-to-be acquired parcels as well. And then the city, through this ULIP application, is seeking to acquire an additional 24 lots and 1 partial lot. And this image just shows the New Creek Blue Belt, which is part of the project area as well. In addition to the lots, there's also sections of street bed. They're primarily unbuilt. There are some built sections. These include streets that are already city-owned, streets that have been acquired by DEP, or there's a 13-street section that we're, again, proposing to acquire through this ULIRP. And these images are Kissam Avenue, which is within our ULIRP. So, in terms of these land use actions for the project, the first is the acquisition and site selection to acquire those 13 street sections and the 25 lots that we just mentioned in the previous slides. The second is a demapping ULIRP, which will return to both CDs 2 and 3 and the Borough Board once that ULIRP process commences. The third is alienation legislation from the state so that we can convey easements on existing city parkland. And then the fourth is a grade change ULIRP. That's related to those road raisings that I mentioned before, and that won't commence until after construction starts because field conditions will impact the design of these road raisings. And here you just have a couple more images of what the project is supposed to look like. So in terms of how these city actions fit in with the Corps' timeline, we must deliver all the real estate by the fourth quarter of 2018 because the Army Corps is slated to award construction contracts at the beginning of 2019. So we have to have the real estate prepared by then. That also requires that we're working as design is progressing. As you'll see here, 100% design is due complete in 2018, and that's also what we have set for the completion of our real estate preparation. So in order to avoid any delay to the project groundbreaking, we have to work as design progresses. And so in this list here, what we're going to be focusing on is the acquisition and site selection piece. So this is the site selection acquisition area. These white circles here, those are pointing towards the 4 major areas of acquisition. The red is street sections that we're proposing to acquire, the purple are lots that we're proposing to acquire, and then the yellow line is the levee. And then the hatching of the other easement areas that are related to the project, that's the drainage. And the blue shows land that's already publicly owned. So as you'll see, there's already a lot of land in this project that's already publicly owned, either through the buyout program or it being parkland or DEP Blue Belt properties. So we're going to start up here on the upper left-hand corner and move down and towards Fort Wadsworth as we discuss the specific properties that we're proposing to acquire. First is Emmett, and I'm just going to try and do this out a little bit so we can get a full picture here. So the first is Emmett Avenue. It's an on-built street section that is surrounded by the city's Great Hills Park. Only a small section of it is needed for a temporary work area related to the levee, that's that line in red. The next area of lots and street sections we're proposing to acquire is just to the north of the wastewater treatment plant. You'll see 2 on-built sections of Delwood Avenue. There's the skinnier one down below Cedar Grove Avenue, and then the larger one that kind of overlaps with this other lot. That lot is vacant. And then there is Charlton Street, which is the one over to the right, and that is a built street, but it is completely lined with properties that have already been acquired through the buyout program.
Come on, enjoy.
And then this is a photo of that overlapping area of that vacant lot and that on-built street that I mentioned. So that's Velvet Avenue and the lot. And this is just right near the wastewater treatment plant. The next area, there are a couple sections of Fox Lane and Fox Beach Avenue. All of these street sections are built, however, with the exception of a couple of lots, the city or all the land alongside them has already been publicly owned. It's predominantly through that buyout program. The two that are along Fox Beach that we don't own, there's all the ones at the bottom are vacant, so that's vacant land. The block here that is actually one of the 3 occupied homes that is part of the project area. And now I'd just like to emphasize that we have sent all property owners, including the ones with occupied homes, several letters, and we've also reached out to them on the phone, and this property owner we have made contact with, and we've had several phone conversations with them. They're also part of the buyout area, but for various reasons, they haven't been able to move forward with that program. And this is just a couple images of the Fox Beach area, and then one of the vacant properties that's right off of Fox Lane. The next area is the southern end of Kissam Avenue, and also Promenade Avenue. Kissam Avenue is a built street. A lot of the property on there has been acquired through the buyout program. Promenade Avenue there is an on-built street, and then the lots highlighted in purple there are all vacant. And this is just an image of Kissam Avenue facing southwest towards one of those vacant lots that we're proposing to acquire. The northern end of Kissam Avenue, again, this is still built in this section. There are 4 properties in this area that we're proposing to acquire. On the right-hand side, that is another of the built homes that we're proposing to acquire. They are working with the buyout program to find a new property. And then the most southern of the ones on the left-hand side is also a occupied home, and they're working closely with Build It Back to find new housing. And then the 2 properties above that feature built houses, and you'll see them here, but these are vacant. Next, we have 2 properties that are in the middle of the city's Great Hills Park. This is vacant land, primarily wetland, and then there are 2 small stubs of streets that are on-built streets. And we have an image of that area. Again, it's just kind of Phragmites wetland. New York Lane, this is a built street which aligns Miller Field. This is part of the project area because the levee crosses through it. And then this is the lone lot that's in CB2. This is the partial lot we're proposing to acquire just a small piece of this. It's where the levee is anticipated to tie off into high ground. It's a very small portion of the lot. The lot features Seaview Towers, Seaview Plaza, which are 2 buildings. No residents will be displaced as a result of this. And the city has asked the Army Corps about relocating the high ground tie-off to Fort Blatcher that you see there just to the right, but we won't know until the design is farther progressed if that's possible. And this is just an image showing the rough area where the levee is planned to affect this property. There's a fence at the rear, and that's where we expect the levee to just move beyond that portion, but it won't affect any parking, won't result in displacement of any residents. So those are the properties that we're proposing to acquire for the Army Corps' levee project. Again, the first step is this acquisition of site selection ULURP that we're before you with today. The next is a demapping ULURP to remove city streets so that we can convey easements for the project. The third is the alienation legislation, so we can convey easements on existing city parkland. And then the fourth is the Great Change ULURP for the road racings. And I'd just like to emphasize again that we have to acquire all real estate and prepare the real estate by the end of 2018 to make sure that there are no delays to this project. Thank you. That's it, and we'll open the floor up to questions and comments.
Okay, any board members have any questions, comments? Okay, any of the state reps in the audience have any comments?
I'm curious, what's going to happen to the property by the apartment house on Drury Lane? What's it-
Drury Lane, is that,
That's 24 the cap.
yes.
Yeah.
So, again, we've asked the Army Corps if this tie-off here, the red line, can be relocated to Fort Wadsworth, and we won't know until design is farther progressed. But there's no anticipated impact, this won't impact parking, there will be no displacement of residents. It would just be a slight, the levy to terminate this sort of grass area at the rear of the property.
And so who would, would that be the apartment houses, who needs to maintain it?
No, that would be the city's responsibility.
I think you mentioned the cost earlier on, but it kind of got past me. So there's the total cost and there's the local cost. What is the local cost share?
The local cost share is 10%. We're anticipating, that's not final yet, the legal agreements have not yet been signed. But it's $600 million. I think I said billion before, I
You did,
apologize.
yeah.
We
Kind of
knew
got my
that was a
attention.
Sorry about that, 600 million, in 2015 price levels, it's a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other members of the board? Okay, anybody else have any comments?
The $600 million, is that to compensate for the acquisition of the property, or is that the total project?
That's the total Army Corps project. The city, this is something that's still being coordinated with the city, part of our local cost share will be the acquisitions of the properties that we've discussed.
And how much has been allocated towards that portion?
It has not yet been allocated.
Did you do the cost analysis yet?
We have,
Okay,
yes, we have a
Okay.
cost estimate.
okay. DCAS did that?
Uh,
Or Parks did it?
No, Parks did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have appraisals, we have very rough estimates based on.
Okay.
Per square foot. Upper and lower bound.
Okay.
If one of the property owners is opposed to going forward with this, would that stop?
So our hope is that we'll be able to negotiate with all property owners. We don't want to forcibly remove anyone from their property. But if it's necessary because of the importance of this project, if we're not able to successfully negotiate with them, there is, we could acquire the property by condemnation.
And the alternatives of, possibly moving that levy offshore, is that been entertained, or is it not cost effective?
You mean moving it off land and into the water, or?
Correct. Deepening the harbor or the bay in that area?
I do know that the Army Corps considered a number of alternatives in their study. I'm not sure if that was one of them. I'm not sure if I can't speak to the feasibility of that. I don't know if Sam or Colleen, if you can say anything more.
I think it wasn't officially an alternative in their report. They ruled it out as not a feasible alternative, but I can't speak to the specifics to that. But I do believe that the way the topography is, I don't think it works with the issue they're trying to solve. But I do think it was something that they envisioned as to not impact all these properties and the parkland, but it was something that was just not feasible to even be an official alternative.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, then we're going to move forward then to did you want to say anything?
I'm just a little bit behind with this. My cousin here asked me to be with her because her English is a little whatever. Could I just have a general question? How many people are affected? How many owners are affected by this whole project? Because she happens to own the block 4768. Are you able to, could you tell me where it is?
Which street
4768
are you
and
here?
4782?
Which street?
Along the Kisam and
Kisam.
Promenade Avenues.
At the southern end?
Kisam and Promenade.
Okay, and you said it's block,
4768 and 4782.
okay, so I think you're at the bottom end here.
Which one's lines?
So this is the bottom of Kissam Avenue where it meets Cedar Grove Avenue.
I see, between those red lines?
So that, I didn't label which properties are which here just because of the number of them for the map. Do you have frontage on
Could
Kissam
I
Avenue?
possibly, I don't want to, because I'm causing a bit of a.
No, it's okay.
No, because I could maybe talk to you when the council members are done with you. Could I do that?
Sure,
All right,
yes.
thanks so much.
What is the end project going to look like here? Do we,
The end project, it'll look, trying to think of what you're talking about. There are a couple renderings earlier in the slide of the levee and the promenade that will be built on top of it. So you'll see here, this is more towards the Verrazano in South Beach. This is the levee or the climate protection with a promenade on top that would replace the existing boardwalk. And then this is Miller Field, and this is what the levee is estimated to look like in that vicinity.
Any more questions, comments? Okay, so we're going to move forward then with the resolution. So I'm going to read it into the minutes, and then we'll take a vote on it. Whereas the New York City Department of City Planning is tasked with the conduct of urban planning within the Borough of Staten Island and the City of New York, and reviews applications filed pursuant to site selections for public facilities, storm drainage, and coastal management plans. Whereas the New York City Department of City Planning, in conjunction with the New York City Departments of Parks and Recreation and Citywide Administrative Services, has determined that the acquisition of privately owned property and street bed is consistent with accomplishing said goal. Whereas the Borough Board of the Borough of Staten Island agrees that the acquisition of private property and street bed will help facilitate storm surge protection measures and is in the best interest of the Borough of Staten Island and the City of New York. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to New York City Charter, the Borough Board of the Borough of Staten Island hereby approves city planning application number C170119 PCR for the South Shore Coastal Management Plan for the acquisition of 10.4 acres of privately owned property, which include Block 3125, part of Lot 116, Block 4108, Lots 1, 3, 9, and 12, Block 4130, Lots 1 and 70, Block 4160, Lots 48, 359, and 360, Blocks 4754, Lots 50 and 53, Block 4768, Lot 89, Block 4782, Lots 25, 38, 39, and 41, Block 4785, Lot 1, Block 4787, Lot 2, Block 4791, Lots 66, 89, and 91, Block 4793, Lot 78, and Block 4802, Lot 24, as well as 13 sections of street bed located in the area bounded by Fort Wadsworth National Park to the north, Great Kills National Park and Willowbrook Parkway to the south, and Raritan Bay to the east, to facilitate the construction of storm surge protection measures, including levees, seawalls, and internal drainage areas in South Beach, Newport Beach, and Oakwood Beach in the City of New York, Borough of Staten Island, Community Districts 2 and 3. Okay, so if I can entertain a motion to approve, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, any abstentions? No, okay, so it passes unanimously. Okay, moving along, the rest is really just regular business of the Borough Board. We did not have any correspondence this month. Is there any old business to bring up? Any new business to bring up? Okay, can I entertain a motion to adjourn, please?
one moment. I'd like, for the record here, I'd like to know this is the first correspondence that I've gotten. I happen to be a property owner here. So I don't know if this is representative of the other people, but if they haven't received notice, you might have some opposition to this. And not knowing what the price of compensation is wouldn't be fair to a property owner or a homeowner. And I'd like everybody here to know that, because I might be the only voice for people who are going to lose their property in this process here. And those are really the people of interest
Okay, well, it did go before the both community boards. There were notices in the paper. I can't speak to, Garrett, with the,
So, yes, before we filed the application, we sent letters to all property owners, and then also attempted phone calls. And then before the community board meetings, depending on which community district your property falls within, we sent you notices of that public hearing. And then I think the letter that you have now is a letter that we sent notifying you of this public hearing.
and it was in the advance as well, I know, because I did see it, and on SI Live.
Well, I'm just looking at the letter of my cousins, and it just says December the 1st. You didn't really give anybody too much time to kind of think, analyze, discuss those things. I don't know what your date is, but mine is December the 1st.
December the 1st.
Okay, we've already voted in favor of the motion. I wish you would have brought that up under the comments beforehand, because once
I didn't
it's,
know you were gonna be voting on it.
I said we were moving to the resolution.
Yeah, I didn't know if we had the floor or not.
I gave you the floor.
How many owners are affected, and how many of them are present at this moment?
There's 24.
And there is just two?
There's-
One, two?
So there are 25 properties in total that are affected, and that's 19 property owners, because some people own multiple properties in the project area.
So just like we did here,
Yes, and then-
so we have three people actually presenting any.
Okay, well, this isn't actually a public hearing. This is a meeting of the Borough Board. The
Yeah, Leah's
public,
gonna explain the rest of the process.
okay.
No, we
It's actually gonna be going back to the City Planning Commission for a
Oh, you have no
public
composition?
hearing, and
Oh,
we'll be
okay.
giving a notice for that as well. It's tentatively scheduled for January 4th right now, and we'll let you know about confirmation. But the City Planning Commission will hold a public hearing, and then thereafter, they will schedule another public hearing for a vote. So there is still time for you to present your comments on the application. So the process
May I
is
say
not
something?
over yet.
Right, so we can, I'm Nicole Campo with the Department of City Planning. We can give you our contact information, so that we can correspond directly about the time and date of that public hearing. But as Alina just mentioned, it would be on January, from what we know, it would be on January 4th, 10 a.m., at 22 Reed Street in Manhattan. Anyone from the public is welcome to come and speak at that public hearing, so you would sign up with a speaker card in advance. Typically, people get 3 minutes to give comments, so whatever concerns you want to bring before the City Planning Commission, you have time to do so then. They may ask you questions, so you might have more than the 3 minutes to speak. You are also absolutely welcome to submit written comments as well. I can provide you with the email address or the mailing address for that as well. So this is, at this time, this is the Borough Board for the Borough of Staten Island, representing all the community boards that are voting, but this is not the final vote. This is part of the Bueller process for the City of New York. The City Planning Commission will make a final vote, and then it would go from there to the City Council. So your City Council member has involvement in this process as well, and that's another opportunity.
And there'll be a hearing for the council as well. There should be
Correct.
usually.
Correct. Nicholas Mass, to speak from, my name is Sam Hirsch. I'm with the New York City Mayor's Office. I work on a number of coastal resilience projects. And I can also say that beyond just coming to public meetings, we have been making what I would consider a great effort to ensure that the property owners who are going to be affected or may be affected are contacted, and that this is one of many letters we sent. And it's, certainly, it makes me a little bit upset to hear there's a person that's gotten through, because I think there is sort of like a bit of hope you're putting in when you're just sending something out to a possibly vacant lot, with, addresses you're able to find through the different resources. But what I will say is that we really do want to be in touch with you, that I can give you my contact information, Garrett and Colleen, we can give you guys their contact information. We want to make sure we have sort of a side conversation as well to make sure that you're sort of fully up to speed on what's happening, and that we're moving together in this process.
fairness to the whole process and to anybody who's gaining or losing a piece of property, one of the greatest things we have in this country is ownership of land. Everybody should own land. And to not be notified, you got two people here who.
Well, like I said, this isn't actually a public hearing, though.
Going forward, though, to come to a meeting like this with all of this planning and not know the range or offer us the range of how we'd be compensated, or anybody else, whether it was us or anybody in our society, it's kind of comes a little short. In addition to not being properly served, there's another thing that comes short. So,
Yeah.
I understand where we're at this process, but I do want to make it very clear for the record that this is not a good way to do business to our fellow property owners and Americans,
We'll be happy.
in my opinion.
Yeah. We'd be happy to all speak with you after the meeting or at another time as well to try to figure out how you guys might have been missed in the mailings and what other opportunities we have to discuss.
Have you been getting a lot of mail back, like, because you send it, kind of stuff?
Only a couple instances, and that was with properties where we would have expected it, where we're going off of a deed, where we had to do a title search to find the property owner, and the deed dates back to the 1960s. So there were a couple instances of that. The majority of the letters have reached, and again, we sent some by certified mail receipts, and we have the receipt stating when it was delivered.
How was the attendance at the community board hearings?
At the community board meetings, there were a couple members of the public that spoke at one of the land use committee meetings for Community Board 3, but they weren't property owners. They weren't owners in the area. This is the first meeting that we've had owners of properties that we're proposing to acquire attend.
I should add that some also property owners called, they received the letters and followed up with questions, and for whatever reason decided not to attend the public hearing. So I know a handful, got the letters and called with questions because there's follow-up contact information.
Okay. Okay, so after the meeting, they'll speak to you, and we'll make sure everybody has everybody's contact information moving forward so that there are no more problems. Okay, so, oh, Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. My name is Jerry Goldman. I'm the Vice Chair of Community Board 3. And at the public meeting, which was held, our general board meeting, which was held on November 22nd, which is in the newspaper and advertised as all our meetings are, no property owners attended there either. So, and we had a very good debate. I mean, there's several people here from Parks were at it. Amongst the board themselves, there was a very lengthy debate and discussion on the pros and cons of the program. But I just want to emphasize that there was no one there from any of the property owners at that time.
Okay. Okay. All right, if I can entertain a motion to adjourn, please. Nick, Jerry, second, okay. Meeting is adjourned.